Thanks for joining me this week. I'm Will Jordan, and this is your Southeastern Cattle Market Report for the states of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Alabama livestock auctions for the week ending July 19th, 2024, across 16 markets had receipts totaling 11,571 head, compared to 12,970 head last week. That's a 1,399 head difference week to week. There were 12,814 head sold this week a year ago, marking a 1,243 head difference year over year. Feeder classes traded steady to $3 higher, with slaughter cows and bulls trading steady to $3 lower. Replacements were mostly steady. Year-to-date receipts totaled 273,446 head, a decrease from 322,389 head a year ago. The supply included 78% feeder cattle, 45% of those were heifers, 18% slaughter cattle, and 4% replacement cattle. Feeder cattle over 600 pounds made up 20% of the segment. Feeder steers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, 312 to 380, 400 to 500 pounds, 285 to 355, 500 to 600 pounds, 248 to 320, 600 to 700 pounds, 238 to 288. Feeder heifers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, 265 to 330, 400 to 500 pounds, 247 to 310, 500 to 600 pounds, 235 to 275, 600 to 700 pounds, 215 to 252 and a half. Slaughter cows, boning 80 to 85% lean, those are 850 to 1,200 pounds, were 131 to 148. Lean cows, that's 85 to 90% lean, 850 to 1,200 pounds, 112 to 134. Slaughter bulls, yield grade 1 and 2, 1,500 to 2,100 pounds, 153 to 173. And now for a look at Georgia. Georgia livestock auctions for the week ending July 19th, 2024, across 20 markets had receipts totaling 8,133 head. Compared to 10,154 head last week, that's a 2,381 head difference week to week. There were 7,457 head sold this week a year ago, marking a 676 head difference year over year. Feeder classes traded unevenly steady to $5 higher, with slaughter cows and bulls trading steady to $4 lower. Replacements were mostly steady. Year-to-date receipts totaled 223,113 head, a decrease from 242,984 head a year ago. The supply included 77% feeder cattle, 45% of those were heifers, 18% slaughter cattle, and 5% replacement cattle. The feeder cattle supply over 600 pounds was 14% of the segment. Feeder steers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, 300 to 390, 400 to 500 pounds, 270 to 370, 500 to 600 pounds, 242 to 315, 600 to 700 pounds, those were 240 to 287. Looking at feeder heifers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 and 400 pounds, 245 to 326. 400 to 500 pounds, those brought 235 to 285. 500 to 600 pounds, 225 to 271. 600 to 700 pounds, 200 to 258. Slaughter cows, boning 80 to 85% lean, 850 to 1,200 pounds, brought from 122 to 149. Lean cows, 85 to 90% lean, those 850 to 1,200 pounds, 92 to 128. Slaughter bulls, yield grade 1, 1,000 pounds to 2,100 pounds, brought 144 to 180. And now for a look at Florida. Florida livestock auctions for the week ending July 19th, 2024, across 10 markets had receipts totaling 8,100 head, compared to 7,713 head last week. That's a 387 head difference week to week. There were 8,768 head sold this week a year ago, marking a 668 head difference year over year. Feeder classes traded mostly steady, with slaughter cows and bulls trading steady. Replacements held firm. Year-to-date receipts totaled 169,519 head, a decrease from 180,935 head a year ago. The supply included 75% feeder cattle, 49% of those were heifers, 23% slaughter cattle, and 2% replacement cattle. Feeder cattle over 600 pounds made up 4% of the segment. Feeder steers, medium and large frames, 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, those brought 280 to 430, 400 to 500 pounds, 240 to 365, 500 to 600 pounds, 220 to 320, 600 to 700 pounds, 200 to 260. Feeder heifers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, brought 240 to 355. 400 to 500 pounds, brought 230 to 315. 500 to 600 pounds, 200 to 270. 600 to 700 pounds, 200 to 230. Slaughter cows, boning 80 to 85% lean, those are 850 to 1200 pounds, brought 126 to 152. Lean cows, 85 to 90% lean, 850 to 1200 pounds, brought from 110 to 133. And slaughter bulls, yield grade 1, 1000 to 2100 pounds, brought 145 to 169. Now let's look at some market factors from the week. World Outlook Board Chairman Mark Jekanowski highlighted some recent updates to the 2024 and 2025 steer forecast. Looking at the 2024 steer forecast, that was raised by $2.86 per hundredweight to $186.80 per hundredweight. Tighter supplies in 2025 also caused a rise of $2 per hundredweight to $190.50 per hundredweight for next year. That's up an impressive $3.64 year over year. Also, USDA Chief Economist Seth Myers expects record steer prices in 2025. Looking back at the cow call several years ago, those high numbers, we've seen high prices. They're going to keep getting hotter. If you're in the cow business, it's a good time to be there. If you're not in the cow business, might not recommend getting in right now. You want to buy when it's low and sell when it's high, and they're awfully hot. Once again, thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Will Jordan. Keep feeding the world.